And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, the Washington Commanders offseason begins as we had exit interviews for the players and also the exit interviews here for Adam Peters and Dan Quinn. So we're going to be talking about that. But first, let's go ahead and start with the most recent update around the Washington Commanders here. And so that is around Zack Ertz. And so hoping to return with the Commanders. And so this is what he had to say according to ESPN.com. I don't know what the future holds, but I still want to play football next year. I just want to make it clear I am not retiring. And he also talked about, paraphrasing here, how he felt rejuvenated, how he feels young. Obviously, talking about the games that he played here in this season at the age of 34. And more or less, he's saying that, look, obviously, it's a two-way street here. I can bang down the door saying I want to be here, but if they don't want me here, then it's a moot point. So we'll start there with Zack Ertz and the potential of him possibly returning to the Washington Commanders. And so I think it would be a great situation to have Zack Ertz returning back to the Washington Commanders. I think that he was terrific for us in the postseason. I'd been talking about him really throughout the year and just really his veteran presence. And I think that that's really been the theme, I think, for the Washington Commanders this year and really how they've been able to really change things. It's just been just a culture switch with just bringing some of these veterans over along with these rookies that we have had this first year, and it's just worked perfectly. And so you have to give a lot of credit just to Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, and really the entire management group for just really changing again just how this franchise has operated. I think that that has been huge. And so I think that Zack Ertz is definitely one of those players that you want to have back in the locker room. In fact, just referring to some of the things that Adam Peters and Dan Quinn were talking about in their interview here, he was talking about that, there's some things that don't show up in the stat sheet. And he was talking about just having those glue guys. And this would definitely be a glue guy for me. I think that Zack Ertz was that guy. And when you needed him to show up the most, he really showed up. In fact, he had the best day amongst all our receivers here in this tough loss in the NFC Championship game. And so, look, Zack Ertz coming in with 66 receptions on 91 targets, 674 yards. He actually was second on the team behind Terry McLaurin, who went for over 1,000 this year. And so that just lets you know just the impact that Zack Ertz had. And so, yeah, I think that if Zack Ertz were to come back to the Washington Commanders, I think it's a great start here. We know that the Washington Commanders are going to have to really answer a lot of different questions here going into the offseason, because one of the things that is going to be, looked at moving forward here is what are you going to do with the 28 players that are slated to become free agents here in this upcoming season? And so, just to name a few, we know that the other player that is going to be most notable as a free agent here is going to be Bobby Wagner. We know how good Bobby Wagner was in the middle of the field for this team. He's also 34 as well. Just amazing season for him. Look, he had currently at the time when I was looking at this, he had over 104 tackles in 13 consecutive seasons. I mean, that's just amazing with what he's been able to do. And so hopefully we do get Bobby Wagner back. These are some of the questions that we have to look at. Backup quarterback, we got Marcus Mariota. Obviously he came in, stepped up, and actually won a game for us when Jaden Daniels was taken out of that Dallas Cowboy game. And so he was huge for us. He actually was in a couple packages for us as far as some of the things that we were trying to do in a playoff game in Detroit. And so, that is something that definitely we want to address. But, just kind of looking into just some other things that kind of came up. Most of the players in some of these interviews just talked about just being, really grateful for the situation and just really embracing, just the season that they had and just really the brotherhood. That is really, I think, the ultimate theme that has kind of come out of this kind of exit interviews, as you would say, with the press and everything like that. And then I think another thing, too, they were talking about just the quotes that are in the building for the Washington Commanders. And so one of the ones that Dan Quinn referenced in his interview with Adam Peters was the anybody, anywhere, anytime theme. That seems to be one of the main themes of the Washington Commanders, and so I love it. I think that it's because of stuff like that that this team has definitely changed over 1,000%. And I just cannot wait to see what the next really evolution of this team is, because they have the foundation, they have the plan, but I think it is really just going ahead and building off of that. But so we have some major updates here with Zack Ertz, and so it looks like that he wants to come back. Hopefully the Commanders bring him back. Another player that was mentioned, I think, in this interview with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn, that exit interview, talking about Marshawn Lattimore. And it looks like that, they're excited to get Marshawn Lattimore into a full, off season, and then also too with a full training camp, kind of getting that runway together. And so really excited about getting him back. Another thing that was mentioned, they talk about Cliff Kingsbury and talking about just his work ethic and being at the building at like 3 a.m. in the morning, stuff like that. And, just how committed he was to the team, and, just saying that, he did everything he could for this year, and that his time is coming, because we know that he's been mentioned as possibly maybe a candidate that could be out there for a head coaching position. Again, if you didn't know, he was the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals at one point, with Kyler Murray out there. And so I guess he still wants to be a head coach, understandably so. But, hopefully we do get Cliff Kingsbury back. And so those are a couple of updates here coming out of the exit interviews with Adam Peters, and then also to Dan Quinn, just talking a little bit more about some of these players and some of the things that they had to say. Make sure you check that out. But once again, throughout this offseason, we're going to be starting to really take a look at, some of these player prospects and things like that. I think in tomorrow's video, we'll start to go over some of these 28 free agents that the Washington Commanders have out there, and if it makes sense for the Washington Commanders to go ahead and pick some of these players back up. Because ultimately speaking, we know that there's going to be some changes here that is coming to this team. I mean, that's just kind of the nature of these things, because you can't keep everybody. We know that. But I think more importantly, it's going to be about getting pieces here that really make sense and that continue to go along with your build. Also, too, we'll probably start to go over maybe what the draft situation is looking like as far as what the draft assets are for the Washington Commanders, so we get a good understanding of just really some of the plays that they have in this upcoming draft. And then also too, maybe taking a look at the salary cap as well, so we know where we are as far as spending out there, because that is one thing that I think the Washington Commanders have really done a great job in, is going ahead and positioning themselves from a salary standpoint so they can take care of some business here this offseason and get better. And so once again, let me know in the comments what you are thinking about this most recent update here with Zack Ertz, and hoping to return back to football. And obviously, saying that, hey, it's a two-way street. I would love to have Zack Ertz back personally. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And we'll be talking some more Washington Commanders daily as the offseason picks up each and every day here. So go Commanders, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.